We pick up right where we left off at the end of the last video, where we were last wrapping the BMW E90. I've now got it outside so we can take a good look at what we've done so far. As I said in the last video, hours and hours has gone into getting us to this stage, but we're probably halfway or had over halfway through, maybe. We've got a lot of work still to do. First thing that I want to get done is to get things symmetrical. So door, wing, side skirt all need to be done to get to the same point as this side. You've seen me do this side in a little bit more detail, so let's time warp through getting the passenger side done, and whilst you're watching me do that, I will play you a tune or two from Ironic Hill. Enjoy.
I don't wanna leave the house today. I just want to stay indoors. I just wanna breathe the same old air. I just wanna breathe the same old air that I have breathed before. I don't wanna climb the mountain. I don't wanna climb the hill. I just wanna sit around. I just want to stand still. And I know it seems strange not to feel ashamed. Not to feel ashamed. I've seen a lot of the world, but I don't wanna see anymore. I only wanna see the same old things. I only wanna see the same old things that I have seen before. I don't wanna climb the mountain. I don't wanna climb the hill. I just wanna sit around. I just want to stand still. And I know it seems strange not to feel ashamed. Not to feel ashamed.
What seems like moments for you watching that has actually been weeks, over a month since I last spoke to you a couple of minutes ago. But we now have symmetry on the car. We've got all of the passenger side done, from the rear quarter and the doors and the side skirt and the front wing. Now we have the bonnet, the boot, the two bumpers and the dreaded wing mirrors. But first, speaking of dreaded, it is MOT time for this car again. All the cars that I've got have their MOT time due around Christmas, so I really dislike this time of year for maintaining the cars. If you've watched previous videos, you'll have known that last year the Astra, the M3 and this BMW all failed their MOT first time round. Surely I'm due a first time pass, fingers crossed. This hasn't done that many miles since last year. What it failed on last year was a leaky shock absorber. Was that everything? I think that was all. Anyway, we did a video fixing that and we got it through the MOT. Hasn't done that many miles since then, so hopefully it will go straight through. Anyway, off to the MOT centre and then we'll get back to the wrapping later on. There it is, and it's passed. We have a pass, but we have an oil leak, which I think we know about by now, but I wasn't so much aware of the rear diff oil leak and brake hoses. We reckon need doing soonish, so we should probably have a look at those. Oh, I'm so relieved it's passed after 3 MOTs last year, none of which passed first time, so that is a big win. Let's get it home and let's carry on with the wrapping. We're now onto a new panel that we haven't done before. So what panel to do next? Now I was thinking I should do the bonnet because it's a big area and it will make a big difference. But for some reason I'm intrigued to have a go at the boot. I don't know if it's because I think it's going to be harder, it'd be good to get it out the way. I don't think it's that, I just think it's going to be an interesting bit to do. And I think this is going to be the first panel which I'm not going to be able to do with one piece of wrap. Maybe someone more proficient than me could do it that way, but I'm not going to attempt it. So the plan is to wrap this bottom section up to this lip. For the first time as well, I'm going to use the knifeless tape to put down under the lip here so I can have a clean cut. We're going to have to take the number plate off, which we put on at the start of the first video of this wrapping series, and we're going to take these lights off. We're going to have to take the badge off and that badge. The 320i probably I won't bother putting back on, we'll see how I feel. So let's get stripping and prepping. To get this trim off, we've just got these push rivets that you just pull out, and then the trim just falls off. And then for these lights, we've got a 10mm here. That's about all I can see, so let's take the 10mm out and hopefully these lights come out. It's an 8mm, not a 10mm for those lights. And then what happens is you undo the nut which holds this plastic clip on. The plastic clip holds the light by pushing against the inside of the boot, and that is all that's holding it on. Just thought as well, we've got the number plate lights, the boot switch and the key. Now I think because you're not going to see those, that I am just going to wrap over the top of them and cut them out. It would of course look a lot better if I remove them, but I just don't think anyone's going to see it, so it's not worth my effort. That's the number plate stickies cleaned off, and now for the badge we go underneath, and I shed a bit of light on the situation. You got those two white clips holding the badge in, so I'm not sure if it's a case of squeeze those together and push it out. Let's have a fiddle and see. That was well easy. So it is just the plastic of the badge itself slots into those white plastic holes in the boot. Now for the 320i badge, which a bit like the number plate is just stuck on, so it's going to need a bit of work. If I want to reuse that, then I'm going to have to do this fairly carefully. You can also scratch the paintwork underneath taking these sorts of things out, so it does require a bit of care, but ultimately they'll come off. I've seen people often use some string to get it out. I don't know what kind of string they use to do that, so I don't have any, so I'm just going to use a bit of heat and my plastic trim tool. Well, that ain't going back on, is it? Now also, like the number plate, I've got to clean all this up. That's as much as I'm stripping it then, so now on to the prepping with the clay bar and the alcohol spray. And we're prepped. Right, as I've been working on the cleaning of the boot, I've changed my mind on how I'm going to go about wrapping this in terms of the number of pieces I'm going to use. I've decided that the underside along here is going to need its own piece. I'm going to do the bottom first, So then the top of the bottom bit will sit underneath the second bit, which will be that bit, and then the second bit will sit underneath the last bit, which will be the rest of it, but as it comes over here it will sit over the top and hopefully reduce the opportunity to see where there is a seam. So as I do the first bit of wrap on the bottom section of the boot, I'm going to need to run my knifeless tape along here, probably just on this side of it, and then when the seam comes down from this bit I can do it in the similar kind of place so the seam will sit on top. I think that's going to be the way to do it. I'm using is 3M. Hopefully that's good enough quality, but I don't have any issues of the tape breaking halfway through. I've run my line down here and then I've gone under there, as you can see. Okay, let's find a piece of wrap and make a start. Pay attention now, because this is where it went very wrong. So close to the end and it's gone horribly wrong. I put a hole in the wrap. Oh man. I think that's happened because it's got stuck on the top there and it's really tight. Oh, that's so annoying. It's taking me ages to do this. I think I'm going to bodge it and I'm going to put a little patch behind there. Oh man, that's so annoying. On second thoughts, the right thing to do is to start again. I will start again, get it back to where I just was, and see you then. Here we go. So I'm sort of back in the same position. I'm actually a little bit further on than I was last time because I've got the wrap right into the corner here. Unfortunately, there was a tear in there and also there, which was from where I cut the slits to ease the tension, as I will show you now in this clip. Just to take a step back, this time I've cut a load of slits and the top here is relief cuts, and that has taken quite a lot of tension out of the wrap. So it's in these corners where the hole appeared last time round. Hopefully from here, well, if you're watching this you'll know that I've done it, and it's because I cut those slits in there. Those tears are a bit frustrating, but this has been really hard, and actually this is my third attempt. I got frustrated with my second attempt and just ripped it off and started again for the third time. Right, where it is now, can I finish this off? Let's see. Right, I think we are pretty much there on that bottom section. It's not too bad. There's a seam there, which is fine because the light's going to go over that anyway. All of this bit is pretty decent. There's a few bumps here. That is because there is rust. So that is imperfection in the paintwork, not stuff under the wrap. I do have this tear there and there. What I'm going to do is, because the Astra colour is so similar to this, I'm going to use some of the touch up that I've got for the Astra in there. When I do the next piece, which is going to be that, it will overlap slightly and hide some of that. So we'll just have to see how it turns out. We've also got a tear there as well, and the overlap probably wouldn't hide all of that. So again, I might just put a bit of touch up there. So I'm going to do that touching up now, and then I'm going to leave this to see if there are any bubbles that are going to appear because I don't want to overlay anything on top of this piece of wrap where it's then going to bubble. That could be problematic. This has 100% been the hardest panel that I've wrapped so far, and it's the first time that I've had to give up on a piece of wrap, and I've had to give up on it twice, and it's been third time lucky. It shows how hard this has been. If you've got any tips how I could have done it differently, I'd love to hear them. And there we go. Can still notice it. It is a slightly different shade of blue, but I think when the boot's down like that and you've got the number plate on, you're only going to notice that if you've seen this video, probably. And it's been a few hours. Just watched the Gavin and Stacey finale on Boxing Day, and we've come back to the garage. It's looking alright, you know. So I reckon we're ready to do this bit. Now I'm struggling to wrap into a corner because even though I'm not putting wrap on this panel, the fact there's excess wrap just makes it hard to get into the corners, as I found with these corners here. So I don't have the answer yet. It's still a bit of a learning curve, so we'll see what happens now. First I need to pick a little bit of offcut, and I've got some in here. Most of the offcuts that I've saved will be big enough for this job. So we're going to lay out the knifeless tape just on the wrap side of the cut that we've just done, so there's a slight bit of overlay, and we're going to lay another bit on the underside of this angle here. So when we do the last bit, which will be all of that, the wrap will overlay just ever so slightly around that bend, and hopefully you won't see the seam. Well, I've laid some tape down there, but it's not really sticking to the vinyl. So I suspect as I try and work with the wrap and I'm putting it down and putting it up, it's just going to pull that knifeless tape up. But I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to have to crack on, and if worst comes to the worst, I'll just have to cut that bit of a knife. Now I've cut that bit out, I've actually cut it a bit bigger than it needed to be. You can see some of the paint there, but it's not something you see, so not the end of the world. It is tough though, as I predicted, getting the wrap into the corner there. We just work at it, we work at it, and slowly we will get there. I don't like it, I don't like it. Give up. Give up. Just don't like it. It's no good. It's no good. Start again. Start again. So we'll go again for take 2 on this bit. This time I put some masking tape down to help the wrap not stick to the boot. Fingers crossed that does the trick. Let's start at the bottom this time. Start at the bottom. And that's a good edge already. gone pretty well. So I've got a bit to do on here still, but if you look at my line all the way along here and goes over the tear slightly, which does make that look a bit better, especially on this smaller tear. Pleased with that. So we are now on to the top of the boot, the final piece before the boot is done. So logic would tell me to start at the top and work down the boot and meet the join from the previous bit I did. But from my YouTube watching and learning from CK Wraps, I know that I need to start from one side on the corner of the boot and stretch the wrap this way across the boot, because that is going to create the wrinkle lines going along there, which means I'm not then stretching the wrap and pulling it to the top and pulling it down to the bottom, which should make it, one, easier, and two, there will be less chance of it failing in the future. That was pretty tricky, but I think I've got it laid on there now, so I can start to use the squeegee, use the heat gun, get this last bit of the boot wrapped. That was by far the hardest panel to put wrap on, bearing in mind particularly that we've done it in 3 separate sections of wrap. That top bit, that was tricky. Let's get with the cutting. So with the cut, we're going to put the blunt edge of the blade against the panel and then just cut a little bit then away from the panel, so there's a bit of excess there to wrap around the corner. But let's just open it a bit, moves it away from any rubbers or anything that I might be running the blade into. Then going over with the heat gun. In this corner, if I've just left a bit of a tab here, something to pull on to get that corner nice, but first I will give a bit of attention to the side here. So I found that when I've watched YouTubers doing their first wraps, there's not that much detail on the cutting. It does make me wonder how good it is. Not saying that it's better or worse than mine, because mine isn't perfect, but probably means I could take some comfort that mine isn't that bad. Push that round, trying to avoid creases. Easier said than done. So you will find many in my corners, I'm sure. Let that cool. We'll just try and cut around the bottom of the overhanging wrap, and then just go back over with heat, try and push the rough edges underneath. This would be an entirely appropriate time to remind you that this is my first wrap. I'm not an expert. This isn't meant to be a teaching video. This is just me and my understanding and my experience in doing my first wrap. So please do your own research, watch other videos and come to your own conclusions on how to wrap. I don't want me to be responsible for you doing a rubbish wrap. And there is my finished corner. It's not too bad, probably the same, similar to my other corners. And just to test it, if you put some heat on it and the wrap sort of moves and recoils, then you've probably got a bit more post heating to do. That's not looking too bad now. On with the rest of it then. I've had a good go over the boot now with the post heat, and also trying to get rid of any little bubbles or little fingers. There still are some, probably more on this panel than on any of the other panels, but I still think it looks okay. Let's have a look. It's a bit messy in here, but that's going to be covered up by the lights, so that's fine. Going along here, just need to cut out the holes where the badge goes into, but we're not going back on with the old badge. I've got something different to go on there. And then moving along, same on the other side, not too pretty under there, but that is where the light's going to cover up. Along the number plate area, we've already mentioned there's these dotted bits there and there, but that is rust on the boot. There's nothing I can do about that. Can you see the tears? Yes, but I think they'll be alright. And top of the boot, it's like a sea of blue. Okay, let's put the lights back on and the number plate. Well, what do we think of this then? Pretty good. Looks better outside than it does inside. Probably because I'm not standing so close to it. If I did stand so close to it, it looks good actually. It is harder to see the imperfections outside, but obviously they are there. That is as much as I can do on the boot for now. The only thing being left to do is of course the badge, but surprise coming. Now let's turn the car around and start on a new panel, the bonnet, the hood. And here is the bonnet, presented to me nicely in my garage. The only bit of prep we've got to do on this then is get that badge off and these two crane bits off, give the whole thing a clean because it's covered in some sort of bird crap. I don't know how that happens when it's in the garage all the time. Who knows what's living in here. Anyway, let's clean it off and cut some wrap and lay it on. For the crane bits at the front of the bonnet, there and there, it looks like it is just these Torx screws. If I undo those, I'll soon find out. Easy. I have just had to watch a video to make sure that this does just pop up the same way that the rear one does, and I can confirm that it does. So I'm just going to have to be really careful prying this up, not to scratch the bonnet. Yes, we're wrapping over it, but if the wrap is a fail and we need to unwrap it, then we want to know the paint is in reasonable condition still. I've then obviously the doors, see the first video for when we filled in the dent and wrapped over the top of those, and also we're going to have to do a bit of work on the rear bumper, which we haven't spoken about yet, but that is to come. Oh, there's no room to get anything in there. I really don't want to scratch the paint. Oh, there we go. That's the stuff. That's the good stuff. Ah, I snapped it. Good job, I'm getting a new one. Well, that didn't quite go to plan. Trying to get the plastic that snapped off out, I pushed through the rubber bit, so you can see on this side we've got a bit of rubber that the new badge will clip into. That is now gone, but we can use some double-sided tape or something, so that's not going to be the end of the world. As my wrap laid on, didn't leave much margin for error there. The wrap is 1.50 m tall. I tried to cut a length of 150 as well, so it should be a square piece. It's not that square, but I've got enough here, so you can see the bonnet ends just under there. And on the other side, there's a little bit more room there. And we've got plenty from the top of the bonnet down to the bottom. Let's wrap. That is the wrap down, just the cutting to do now. So 90% of that was really easy, but as I've found with other panels, that last 10% and particularly corners have been a challenge as the wrap kind of starts to bunch together and you get all those fingers. I've got a few marks at the front here, but I'll be able to poke some holes in some of those and flatten them down. And as we saw with the boot earlier, once you get it outside, it still looks pretty good. And this has gone a lot better than the boot anyway, so this should look fine. Let's get it cut out. The bonnet is done. Let's get this thing outside and take a look at what we've done in this video. Couple of things still to do. We've got the chrome bits of trim that go on the front here to put on, so let's do that now. The chrome looking good there. Now I'm sure some of you are crying out for me to de-chrome this car, but as you've seen from the 3 videos now, I've got my work cut out with this wrap, so one thing at a time. I did say in the previous video I do like the chrome look on this blue. I think they work well together, and that's still the case. But once it's done, we'll see if my opinion changes on that. But for now, we're staying chrome. Now we need to rebadge the car. I said earlier that I was going to do something a bit different, and here it is. I've got the 50th year M anniversary badges. When I ordered this, I didn't appreciate that this was the anniversary for M cars. This isn't an M car. That might trigger a few of you, and I'm sorry if it does, but I broke the front badge taking it off, so that can't go back on anyway, and now I've got these, so I'm afraid these are what is going on. And for the front, if you remember earlier, we lost the black plastic which secures the badge down that hole. I've actually gone and purchased a new one rather than using double-sided tape as I suggested I would earlier. Let's get the badge on then. I'm not forgetting the boot one as well. And that's it then. It's been about 3 months nearly since I posted the last video on this, but we have made progress now. It is taking a long time, but we can only keep going and we will get there. Clearly still left to do front bumper, wing mirrors, rear bumper, and also the rear bumper is going to need a bit of attention because we've got a little bit of damage there. That's it for now. Hope you've enjoyed me toiling with the wrap, and hopefully you've sympathised with me and have seen a bit of progression and development as I learn this new skill. I should probably say, I don't know that I say this enough, I'm not an expert. This is just me documenting, doing stuff in the cars, learning as I go. You can learn from my mistakes, but I'm not an expert, so there's probably a limit in what you can take from me. I'm sure you've worked that out for yourself anyway. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time where we will start on that rear bumper.